Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Amagati, your family life coach. You hear this all the time, but I'm rooting for you. We're doing family together. So I just wanted to jump on here real quick today. This is probably going to be a short video, but I want to talk to you all about something that I experienced this week that really bothered me. We've talked about it on this channel before, but I feel like we need to keep talking about it. So over the past 2 weeks, I have been working at a school through my nonprofit. So for those of you who don't know, I am the proud founder of the nonprofit Culture Encounters. And Culture Encounters is a nonprofit organization dedicated to offering opportunities for people to encounter cultures from around the world. And we do that in three main ways. We do that through the arts, performing visual arts. We do that through shared experiences. We do food tours, and we take people to different ethnic restaurants and they try foods from different cultures. They engage with chefs from different countries. And that is a very tangible way to connect with a culture that is different from their own. And then we also do that through conversation. So we do have a YouTube channel, which is different from what I do, but we have a YouTube channel called Culture Encounters. Please check that out. We do have a podcast called Culture Encounters. You can find it wherever you listen to podcasts. But what we do also is, the reason for what we do, not the aim, the reason for what we do is to promote what we call cultural intelligence and cultural awareness, cultural curiosity. I live in a country or in a state in the United States where people are not as open to immigrants and to people from different cultures like myself. And so through my nonprofit, I let people realize that, look, we are the same. Okay, we might speak a different language, we might have a different background, but we feel joy, we feel sadness, we feel happiness, all the feelings we all feel as humans. And so I'm hoping that through my work at the nonprofit, that we can break down these barriers that holds us back. And so that is what I do, apart from doing parent education and family life coaching. But this week I've been at a school with my team, and we've been exploring cultures with a group of kids at this school. And one of the kids in the class that we are working with this week, I could tell has a strong connection to Africa. I'm not really sure which part of Africa they're from. This child is from, but through their name was hard to understand. So I know they're African just from the looks and all, but this is also why I knew they were African. I knew they were African because when I started talking about foods from Ghana, this child knew about fufu. They knew all the food, like the jollof rice and all the things that is typical Ghanaian or West African. They knew it, and even contributed to the fact that when they eat it with beef soup, light soup. And I said, you are African, you know. But you could tell at the same time, this child was struggling to fit in with his friends. So he did not want to accept that he had a strong African heritage. In fact, what he said was that he knew about Africa through his auntie, who is African, right? So someone who is with a sister to either the father or the mother, he said, is African, but never claimed that heritage at all. And you could tell this child was fighting so hard to de-associate himself from the culture, right? And I get that. And I get that because I think that this child was afraid that he would be ridiculed or bullied, or maybe something silly will be said about his African heritage, and it bothered me because I would love for my children to embrace the African side of them, to embrace the culture, to embrace the people, to embrace that ethnicity they belong to, rather than try to be something they're not. But kid you not, I feel like there's so many other children who are going through the exact same thing this boy is going through, that it would have been cool for him to own up to his Africanness, if there's such a word. There's nothing wrong with that. There's pride in owning your culture. But I think it starts with us as parents. How are we exposing our children to our culture? Are we exposing our children to the culture where they have no pride in that culture? That they feel like being cool with their friends and denouncing that part of their lives makes them more accepting. So I want to leave you with something to think about, that as you raise your child, teach them the positives of your culture. Is it because they're trying to not associate with what they consider negative about your culture? It's probably the reason why they're acting the way they are with their friends. Because the truth is, when they go to school, we're not there. When they're with their friends, we're usually not there. So we don't know what it is they're doing. But it broke my heart that this child would denounce, not necessarily denounce, but definitely he did not want to associate. The closest he came to the culture was he had an auntie who is from that culture. So what are we teaching our kids? Let's reconsider the way we expose our children to our culture. Let's reconsider what we say about our culture in front of our children, because I've said this before in previous recordings, that we are the cultural ambassadors to our children and our community. So what we say, how we say it, how we act, determines whether our children want to embrace our culture or shun it. And we do not want our children running away from our culture. I am a proud African, and I do not want my child running away from that. And so let's reevaluate that as parents. And so just wanted to jump on here real quick just to share these thoughts with you. Be a cultural ambassador. All right. Thank you so much for your time. I hope something I've said has triggered something in you to begin to have these conversations. I'll come your way again soon. Until next time. Bye-bye.